Okay. A few more minutes for the rest of our commissioners. We're going to hopefully finish our morning meeting. If we are not done, we will break at 2 o'clock for matters by the public, and then resume after matters by the public to continue our business if we need to. But actually, we do have a quorum. But since this is a continuation of the budget, we will give our...
You have your list of who's speaking?
Who is speaking?
And we did have, in order, Powell, Baxter, and Sachs in comments. So why don't we go with Vice Mayor Baxter for her comments or questions?
Thank you, Mayor. Hi, everyone. Welcome back. There were some comments brought up by Commissioner Flores that I wanted to, I guess, expand upon and ask some questions about. He had brought up basically what I understood was merit-based versus just across the board for directors and department heads of sorts. In the fire rescue, they kind of separate their upper staff from the rest of staff and how they're handled and raises. Is that, could you elaborate on that a little bit, Madam Administrator?
There are, and I'm going to ask Reggie Duran to come up because he's got a lot of intimate knowledge on it.
Our in-house chief?
So the union employees are handled differently. And the bulk of fire rescue is union employees. So they're handled totally different than management. And the management positions are, they're across the board as far as I know. But
Yes,
I'm going to look at former Chief Reginald Duran of the Fire Department to give you more detail. But that is one of the reasons they're handled differently, because one is management and the other is fire rescue, even though we've got battalion chiefs that are part of the union as well. They have their own separate union, and all of the evaluations or raises or however they're done is a part of the contract, and we have to adhere to those contracts. So, Mr. Duran?
Just one thing, just for clarity. You're right, there are a lot of different types of chiefs in fire rescue. The battalion chiefs are in the bargaining unit, the large bargaining unit, which is most of the firefighters in. It's the district chiefs that have a standalone bargaining unit that they're a part of. The other executives, they receive pay increases through the budget process, as you heard this morning. So they're consistent with what the bulk of the merit-based employees receive in the county.
I like the idea that there is some evaluation done or some standard held, especially for people leading our departments. Something should be in place that says you're meeting, not meeting, you're exceeding, so on and so forth. So I do agree with Commissioner Flores, who made that point, because I've said the same thing. If we treat everyone exactly the same and you automatically get the same thing everyone else does, then where's the benefit of doing better?
The benefit of doing better is you get to stay there because they're at will, and so we can discharge them or suspend them or take appropriate action depending on what occurred. As I stated, our department heads, division heads, they clearly understand what their charges are, and they do it, or we have discussions. But it is up to this board on whether you want us to go back to evaluations.
And I think
do it
we're just
either
talking
way.
about directors and department heads at this point, not everyone in the, I mean, to your point, I think we talked about, we have 7,100 employees. So we're just in a very narrow scope right now. And I would love to hear from my fellow commissioners and how they feel about that as well. Also, forgive me, I should probably know the answer to this. How long have you been the administrator?
I've been the administrator a little over 9 years now.
And in that time, how many department heads or directors have been dismissed?
Maybe about 2 or 3.
In 9 years. And so
Yes.
that it could be a good thing, but I would also say that there are certain areas in the county that, and certain spaces where I feel it could be done better. I think we always strive to do better,
That's
right?
fair.
And so I just think this would help be a tool to help accomplish those goals in addition to the rest. And that's all I wanted to say about that, was just to kind of put in my 2 cents on something Commissioner Flores said. Thank you.
Commissioner Powell.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. A couple questions. Earlier, we were discussing, first off, let's start here. The 6% across the board for the increase, with that, does that take into account positions that are, when we talked about positions that are harder to fill, where does that put us on the scale of other counties or even municipalities when it comes to some of those really technical areas like planning or engineering or just some of the areas that you indicated, even in the building department, where we know, and those are coming from different budgets, but where does that 6% put us in terms of, does it align us? Does it still make us a little bit lower than other areas? I know it's been, from my past life, musical chairs in some of the departments that are in development services. So I think it's great to do that increase, but just where does that align us?
It helps to bring us closer to being competitive. It doesn't get us there with certain positions as we hire. There are times I have to increase or offer a higher starting salary for certain positions than others. Engineering, planners, IT folks, my litigators, our litigators, I should say, along with some attorneys. So there are certain positions that we have to hire above the 10%. Department heads are allowed to hire 10% above the minimum. And then anything above that needs to come across my desk with appropriate justifications. We look at other comparable counties to see what they're paying for those particular salaries in order to make that adjustment. We have some positions, and I think Palm Tran was one of them on here, their director of operations. We finally got someone that's willing to come, but I had to go above that 10% in order to get them in. And that's with appropriate experience and looking at other comparable counties. And so that's a position that had been open for over a year.
Thank you. In terms of projections, I have the advantage of having been at the state level where they had indicated that we were potentially, over the next couple of years, going to see some budget shortfalls. As a matter of fact, at the state level, over the last couple of years, especially last year, they had the different committees start doing exercises, the appropriations committees, in terms of what they would cut from the budget. Are you, with a $9.1 billion budget here at the county, the state had a $117 billion budget. In the next couple of years, do you propose that we will continue to be able to fund everything, or do you see, or is there any projections? I know I looked at a couple of projections, but we know we had talked about those would then shore up. Is there a possibility that we could end up seeing some shortfalls that would cause us to have to cut any budgets in the future?
Yes, it depends on a number of factors. It depends on what the federal government does as far as reducing or eliminating grants. Those are decisions policy decisions we would need to bring back to the board, depending on the programs that it funded. In addition, as you well know, cost of construction, cost of just maintaining what we currently have has continued to increase. Whether I add more positions, just the cost of living is more here in Palm Beach County. That is one of the reasons that I am requesting a 6% across the board for employees, because housing costs continues to escalate, and our employees that move to our bedroom community, which was St. Lucie County, Port St. Lucie, is no longer what it used to be. And the cost of housing in Port St. Lucie has significantly gone up. And so people are moving further away. And what we have found through history, that when they move that far away, when jobs become available, they take the jobs in those particular areas. And so as we try to recruit, we're also facing people coming down saying, I didn't realize your cost of living, your housing cost was so high, and we lose them because they're looking to increase their income versus, yes, an increase, but I'm having to pay out more in housing. So there are things that we're going to be looking at. You have given me your priorities, strategic priorities. So as budgets are being developed, we'll be looking at that. But again, and I've said this a number of times, housing is our number one crisis that we're dealing with right now. But that is not one that your administrator is going to constantly say, this is our burden. It's a community burden, and we need help on making sure we've got those. So even though housing is that issue, economic development is that issue, you give me directions to add things, that will also increase costs. So if we're looking to reduce millage, I'm hoping values go up enough that we could reduce the millage rate, but just to maintain, it depends upon the values and what else the board is adding to the budget.
Thank you for that. And I do realize and recognize that the cost of everything has continued to increase. In terms of individuals who own rental properties or who are renting, as the cap for property tax can be increased by 10%, and those who own homes, if they have a homestead exemption, only 3%, and that 10% is something that was put into effect by the state legislature. My concern is, I know property taxes are something that we talk about, but one of the bigger challenges that we've seen, well, property taxes may increase by 3%. Homeowners insurance, for many of us in here, has increased by 100%, 200% from where it was originally at. The challenge I'm looking at is especially now where departments are being shut down and grants are being held. If the last time that the budget was cut, not the budget, the millage rate was cut was 2 years ago.
Yes.
It went from, can you tell me what it went from to 4.5, where it's at now?
4.7 to 4.5.
It went from 4.715 to 4.5.
How easy is it, and maybe this is a question for us as a board, because I've never had to be on a board at this level, how easy is it if we have a shortfall to raise that millage rate back up? As opposed to, I mean, I come from Tallahassee where we don't raise taxes, apparently, but we come up with fees, but we don't raise taxes. How easy is it to increase the millage rate from that 4.5 if we were to drop it to 4.45? If we came up next year and ended up with a shortfall, how easy would that, or how likely would it be? And maybe
Okay,
that's a board question.
I'm gonna pipe in. We kept the millage rate for a while at 4.715. The 4.5 was a drastic cut. We kept it at 4.5 last year. To do and I know earlier this year, and thank you, Commissioner Flores, I know earlier this year I said I'd like to see a millage rate cut. But we have to be careful. We can't be going down and up and down and up and down and up. So I know that a lot of communities and a lot of municipalities like to keep the millage rate the same so that our businesses and our residents have an opportunity to know if this is going to be the millage rate for the next 5 years, I know what my budget's going to be. Yes, we as a board can give the direction to our administrator to decrease the millage rate and come up with a budget that we think, if we say we want to decrease the millage rate to 4.3, it would be her duty to come up with a budget that matches that millage rate. In the same vein, if the administrator came to us and said, we need to raise more money, which means we need to raise the millage rate, then it's up to us as a board to either say, we're going to cut programs, because it's not like, it's always the programs that get cut. That it's not the people that are working, that are doing the same things every day and every day, but it's what we're able to do in the community, which is more fungible dollars, and I don't mean fungible in a negative sense, but those are the dollars that would be cut if we lowered the millage rate too much, or if we raised the millage rate, those would be the programs that we would be helping. So it's up to the board to decide what the millage rate is going to be, and whatever we set, that's the task that the administrator has to match it, whether it's lowering or raising it. I don't think anybody in this day and age would want to see us raise the millage rate. We did have to raise the millage rate in going back to 2007 when, when property values plummeted. So we were not getting ad valorem tax dollars at the rate that we had gotten them in the past. And that's the hardest thing for people, is to raise the millage rate when it really, really hurts. So I don't see us raising the millage rate, especially because we know that there are folks out there. I mean, if we know what our millage rate is going to be, and if we decide to keep it at 4.5 because we know everything is going up. Everything is going up for the county too. It's not like it's not costing us less for electricity. It's not costing us less for insurance on all of our buildings. Everything that we do is going up in cost too. So we have to be careful that we can actually set a millage rate, that we can have a budget to give the services that we want to provide as a leading county, as a AAA-rated county. I know that was a long-winded answer, but
No, it's understandable, because where I'm coming from is, I like the idea of, cutting the millage rate, honestly, if we could do an analysis of what that would look like. The challenge is, when we talk about the budget and we look at the budget, we're providing what we hope to be a 6% increase across the board for the employees who work at Palm Beach County. And I believe that the people who work for the county, we've seen, us included, have seen increases in everything from the cost of living to the cost of gas to the cost of food. And, we're uncertain what the prices will be that will continue to go up. So if there's a way we can cut the millage rate to help people without impacting the potential for employees to receive that 6% increase, and if we find that we are near a shortfall to be able to increase that millage rate, then I'm for it. But looking at numbers, and I'm pretty good with numbers, my challenge is making sure we have enough funds to appropriate or allocate funding where it needs to be without impacting the people that we want to help. So as someone who has worked for municipality before, I am excited that we can offer a 6% increase across the board, to a potential 6% increase to employees here at Palm Beach County. And I'm sure that employees of Palm Beach County would like that and need it. The challenge is, if we cut millage, how will that allow our budget to end? Will we still have funding for reserves? What will we? How do we shore that up? And remember, there's a number of other entities asking for funding to meet some critical funding needs, as we heard earlier. And there's even entities and organizations asking to help fund populations. So I'm just putting that out there because I'm concerned, and I don't want to negatively impact the people who work for the county while trying to do good for the people who live in the county, which we all live in the county.
And we were trying to be succinct in our presentation today. However, in your packet that we passed out a while last week, and that's the big thick, I think it's like 40 pages. On page 8 reflects our history in property values and millage rates. And so as property values rose, we dropped our millage rate, except at some point in 08, 09, the market crashed. And so this is what this chart looks like on your form. It's up and down, it's up and down. And I agree that's one of the things, especially the business community, they did not like us going up and down. They needed some stability. So we actually ended up, after we caught up, we ended up raising the millage rate even more than it was prior to when we cut it, because when we cut, we annihilated our capital plan. Our reserves went to nil for the most part. And then we started to build back up. Our millage rate of 4.7815, we held that for about 11 years, and then we reduced it, and then we reduced it again 2 years. This administrator, whatever your direction will be, I will bring you back a balanced budget. However, I have to tell you, I started in the budget office, and I'm very frugal when it comes to taxpayers' dollars. And my staff will be, don't use another word for me, but I'm very responsible when it comes to the taxpayers' dollars and fulfilling your direction on what we're going to do based upon strategic priorities. So what I can tell you, if we cut the millage and you allow me to still give raises to my staff so I can keep them, and I don't train them and they go somewhere else and get paid more money for less work, or the private sector takes those that I've invested training in and they pay them more, what will be hit will be knowing what your priorities are on programs. I would be looking primarily at capital, and I'd be looking at reserves. And I don't want to do either of those because we're behind in infrastructure. We need those dollars, and we need to make sure that we have adequate reserves in case of emergency. And we're getting them more and more, and it's not just hurricanes anymore. There are a number of issues that we would need to hit our reserves on. So, but I will do what this board directs me to do.
Okay, I'm good.
Thank you. Commissioner Sachs, you had your light on before we went to lunch, so I put you on the roster. Would you like to speak, even though you don't have your light on now? No, thank you. Okay. Commissioner Woodward.
Thank you. And I agree, Commissioner Powell, with a lot of what you were saying. As a reminder of our calendar moving forward, because I know last year I got a lot of very valuable information from the property appraiser, not just on like where we were, but the trends that she was seeing moving forward, because we have to consider, homesteaded properties versus non-homestead. And I think she said over 90% of all homesteaded properties hit that 3% max last year, and it was like 70% of the non-homestead, which is commercial also, was at the 10%. And of course, that's to be determined. I think we all think that's probably going to continue. But then also the new construction, because I think that there's a significant amount of new construction that will be brought onto the tax rolls for the first time this year. Is there any chance that could we get maybe not hold her feet to the fire that this is gospel, but somewhat of an update to kind of prepare for this? Because if those numbers are as significant as they've been the past few years, lowering the millage would not necessarily affect what we're doing here. Because I know there's a number of projects that they keep getting kicked to the next year. They're not brought onto the tax rolls because maybe the last window hasn't been installed or something. There's a few of those projects. But is there a way that we could get that update before June? I know we have to ask her.
I will reach out to the property appraiser and see what type of information. The other thing I would like to highlight is that because when I see cranes, I smile, but then I frown. It depends on where the cranes are located. If they are located in CRAs, that is not revenue. That improved revenue is not coming to the county. It's remaining within the CRA. And so we, again, as the luncheon speaker said, we're great, but we got more people coming here, and it's because of the services that we provide. Yeah. And traffic is one of them, and we're constantly looking at our roadways, improvements in our roadways. Our cities are looking at circuits running, going around their cities, but we also have to continue to look at how we're going to link all of us together. So, yes, I will reach out to
And also with the turnover, because anytime, someone's been in their home for 30 years and they sell it to a brand new person, that is a significant change, which is shocking both to the new homeowner and, but it's something for us to consider. So if you could reach out to her and we could get that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor Baxter.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor. Could you go to slide 6, I believe it is, please? Thank you. So it says the first column there of numbers, it says the adopted budget, that was at the 4.5 millage rate. So ad valorem taxes we brought in was I'm just going to round, 1.4 billion, if I'm reading this correctly. Mm-hmm. And do you happen to have the number of what we brought in the previous year at the 4.5 millage rate?
We haven't.
I'm going to say it was either 1.25 or 1.3, but.
So even at, let's say, 1.2, so we still.
It was 1.3?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, even at 1.3. So we brought in roughly $100 million more, even though we kept the millage rate the same. Mm-hmm. I guess that was kind of significant to me. So even when we keep the millage rate the same, people are still paying more to a max of 3% if homesteaded. Businesses, 10%.
And our values increased, the value increase was 9.6% because of the homesteaded property that's sold and is now on value, plus homesteaded properties, it was at 3% in this last year. Was CPI a little bit higher than 3?
Yeah, CPI was a little higher than 3 for fiscal 2025. It's just below 3%, so the property values will increase 2.89% for homesteaded properties this year.
So, but it's all of those. And it's the new construction also that's part of that 9.6%.
And what we have been trying to deliver to you, we're trying to live on the income coming in and not hit our reserves. So that has been a challenge also.
Well, one thing I would like the support of the board for is that if we do get to a point, whether grants are, planning for the worst, hoping for the best mentality, if grants are cut from the federal level and it does cause us a deficit, I would absolutely like to take infrastructure and capital projects off the table of being touched as something to cut back on. Because I have to tell you, it has been put off for decades, like way too long. That needs to be the last thing cut, absolute last. We, as a board, have sat up here and been trying to play catch up from things from the end of, 2009, I believe, we've been playing catch up from. So let's not keep putting this off. That I'm throwing out there. As far as I do, and it has been an issue of mine, I do agree that we need to keep our employees. We need to, my concern with the employees are more so under engineering, building department, permit tech, so on. We seem to have huge problems keeping people, and that is what keeps our county functioning, rolling. It's also where we bring in a lot of revenue and fees. And so if we can get more people in there and get it more functional, I'd really like to see some work put into looking at how we can retain people a little bit better at the building department and maybe recruit more even at a potential higher level. So they're not starting at the ground. We're training them and then they're leaving. That's terrible. So those are just a couple thoughts I have going into the budget cycle, but thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Powell?
Thank you. I just wanted to reiterate what Vice Mayor Baxter said about the capital projects. If there's a way to cut budgets, I'm a short timer here. I haven't been here that long, but there's some things that I've noticed that we could probably improve upon in terms of, even in this building, in terms of security and things like that. But I would agree with Commissioner Baxter, Vice Mayor Baxter, that I think the capital projects should be a real priority. It certainly should be a priority, now more than ever.
I will reach out to each of you individually to get more input from you as we start to build the budget. And again, when we take those programs off, and I definitely know we need to have capital and definitely reserves, because the cavalry will not show up the moment the wind stops blowing. They've proven that. And our residents want service the minute the wind stops blowing. So we do need reserves. So what's left are programs. And what I will receive input from you, and we will be looking at programs as a whole, because we've tried the across-the-board reduction. That does not bow well. We're understaffed in certain areas. We are working on building. We've had an apprenticeship program in place now for, I want to say 4 years, 3 to 4 years. We've got our internship program in place. That has been in place since really before I became the administrator, but it is a bit more robust now. And so we are also working with the school district, like for fire rescue. We've created, working with the school district, the fire academy at Palm Beach Lakes. Because they have a medical program, and we were able to work, Dr. Robinson was on the school board, work with her, and we have that program. So we're trying to create a feeder program so that when we're ready to hire, we've got the positions there. The apprenticeship program with the building department is working. We bring people in, they don't have the skill sets, they, for a year, shadow the people that positions we're trying to hire. They're able to take the test at the end of that year. If they pass it, then they come on as permanent full-time employees, and then as they receive more certifications, then they're able to get raises and move up the ladder. Some people have 3 or 4 certifications, and that is wonderful because that one person can handle all of those elements in there. So we are looking at how we're bringing people on board. OFMB budget is a major training ground for our financial folks that then end up out in departments. So we are looking at those particular programs and what else we can do. We are increasing our training program so that people starting out are able to look at the county overall to determine where they want to work. There are training, in-house training. This board has allowed us to do reimbursement for education. As long as they, make a certain grade, we pay a certain reimbursement for education. So we're pushing a number of things through that we want to make sure we've got well-educated employees and opportunities for them to continue to move up and bring in new people.
Thank you. We actually have one comment card. Why don't we go ahead and take
Thank
that?
you. Alexandria Larson.
I'm glad that when you did your presentation, Virginia, that the first word out of your mouth wasn't economic development on that list. Because in the backup, that's how it was listed. And I just thought it needed to be rearranged. Or maybe changed. Some of the public safety, infrastructure, environment, residents, economic development, housing. It would shorten everything real quick. Because we are, like, I hear you saying you want to do infrastructure. Infrastructure to me is roads. It's not building a pretty new building because somebody wants one. We are at a precipice here in this county. It's money-wise, because what if it goes away? What if the market drops? What if the dollars change? I'm still waiting for Joe's presentation on our investments that he said he was going to come back and do in front of you commissioners quite a while back. And I'd like to know, because historically our investments were like $30, $40 million, and then it went up to 70, but it was because of the cost of things. Everything went up. That's how it was explained privately to me, how things work, because we are. When I asked how we built libraries a few years back, it was a while back, we built a bunch of libraries for $25 million. Now when you build a library, it costs you about, 15, soon it'll be 20. And the price always goes up. Every consent agenda in this county is the price of something going up, a contract, at change order. And that's what I hate, change orders. I've hated them since I walked in the door. I used to go after the consent agenda, and I didn't do it. I didn't have to do it in 3 minutes. I was allowed to talk on the item that I pulled, that I asked to talk about. So, hopefully, with our budget, we are blessed right now. You got houses going up, and it's like we're partying like it's 1999. But I don't believe that's going to happen for very long. I think there's always a drop. There's always a thing coming out of the bucket. Like we take money from one area and put it over here. And that's what when you go up the echelon, I'm glad you're from the upper echelon, but that's what we do. We borrow money from somebody else. And we can't do that anymore because we're not on good footing. We don't know what's happening with the environment. We don't know about electric cars. We don't know what's going to work. I've always asked, no offense to this board, but I always said, just bring in some 7th graders, 12-year-olds, and they'll give us some ideas. They will give us some ideas that we never thought of, because that's what kids used to do when my nieces and nephews would come to me. They'd go, I'm like, well, how did you do that? So don't party like it's 1999. Thank you.
Okay, it is 2:02. However, what we're looking for right now is Staff is asking for board direction on maintaining or modifying the strategic priorities. I don't see that we've changed our priorities, so without anyone from the board saying no, can we?
Well, I've asked this question before, and just to say it again for the benefit of the newer commissioners, I had asked in our strategic priorities if we actually prioritize them all or if they carried equal weight. But yet I've also asked that we give the infrastructure capital projects a little more weight, in a sense, that if we do have to cut from different areas, that not be one or be the last one because of obvious reasons. So I wanted to ask, is there anything specific we would need to do or give you additional direction to make that occur?
What I heard from the board today was that you want infrastructure not to, that to be the last thing. And
The last thing cut.
Yeah, and
Correct.
and also reserves.
Right.
Okay. And I support that, but I also know our biggest challenge is the sheriff's budget when it comes to Avalon. So, you know, that is something that I'll be talking to the sheriff, whatever I bring back to the board, because that is public safety. And that is a big chunk of our Avalon. We have been balancing our budget on BCC departments over the years. And so that's what it comes down to. Our financially assisted agencies, our partnerships with those. So those are the type programs that we'll be looking at. We'll also be looking at positions. And I will make those decisions. If positions haven't been used, we'll associate it with the appropriate programs, and I will bring you back programs, because across the board does not work. It does not work. It makes us less efficient when we do across the boards. So it will be programs. I will make recommendations to you based on our discussions, and then you'll tell me what you want and what you don't want.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Powell, bring it home.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And to reiterate my point, I would like to see no cuts. If we are going to look at reducing the millage rate, then I would like to first maybe have an analysis of what that looks like in terms of, we reduce the millage rate, these are areas that we would possibly impact, or it would have no finding of fiscal impact, right? If that's the case, then what it would take if we did end up a situation projected down the line 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the line, what we would have to do to increase. It's a budget projection. But my ultimate, I agree with Vice Mayor Baxter, capital projects don't need to be on the line. Case in point, and it's not about a nice, pretty new building. There are things that I've seen in terms of security measures that we are lacking. And those may be things that need to be addressed sooner rather than later. And that's for the security and safety of the people who work in all of the county facilities. Mm-hmm. It's not about having a nice, pretty new building. And things continue to evolve. And because of that, we need to make sure that we are protecting the people who work here. So that's my observation, and that's my request. My clear request is that we look at the possibility, but I'm not in favor of cutting anything, especially I don't want to cut people's salaries or potential to raise salaries. I don't want to cut projects or programs. And let's be clear, the $20 million that we allocated on that list was an additional allotment of $25 million more dollars. And we have to make sure that those dollars are coming back to us. And you already said that it would be a year, at least. So that's unknown. It's to be determined. And with all of those things hanging out there, I don't feel comfortable. This is just me speaking. I don't feel comfortable having a discussion to cut anything. Thank you.
All right, I think I'll bring it home. So, this started off as a workshop item, and it's a workshop item so that we can have this discussion, so that we can figure out if the strategic priorities that we have in place we want to keep. It does sound like we want to keep the strategic priorities, but you have heard that no one wants to touch capital, and because it's something that we have cut over and over and over again, and we have projects that should have been out of the ground and haven't. So, going forward, this was our opportunity to talk with staff. We will continuously, between now and May and June, talk with you individually. Obviously, we can bring it up at any meeting we want. But I think, you're looking for board direction. I think you know what board direction is clearly. Keep the strategic priorities that we have in place. Understand capital projects are not to be touched. And give us options if, in fact, we decide, hey, we don't know what's going to happen with programs, projects that we get funding for. We should know that in the next coming months. So this is all going to be fluid, but I believe you have board direction now.
I do. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, we are going to recess the meeting of the Board of County Commissioners, and we are going to now have the matters, but yes, thank you very much, matters by the public, and we have 8 cards, and you will all have 3 minutes. So Commissioner Woodward is going to read names, and we have 2 podiums. Please come to both of them.
We have Andrew Brosette, Lisa Cantrell, Alexandria Larson, and Reverend John DeMillo. We have 2 microphones.
Hello. I have not been here before. My name is Lisa Cantrell, and nice to meet you all. Good afternoon. Good morning. So my main concern is mostly with the property owners and the older population that we have right now, and not only preserving the homestead properties that are here, but as you back away or some of the services become less available to the older populations, can end up costing us more. So they're paying less in property taxes because they've been here for 15 or 20 years. And then some of those programs are being cut as far as preserving their understructure, as far as supporting the older population on that level, if that makes any sense. So they're older, they need more, but they're paying less. And then you cut out the undercarriage to support them in the most economical, feasible way possible. So it's a delicate balance between preserving both sides of the street, so to speak, if that makes any sense to anyone here. So without an undercarriage or an economic support that's equal or balanced, so to speak, as far as what the needs of the community are, their age, their population, which district they're in, and what those numbers look like, we're just shooting from the hip. Okay. In regards to homestead properties and property appraisers and some other things, I've seen some things in the courts which I don't agree with, as far as homestead properties and people having to challenge their rights in the court, which is costing the older population money. When a homestead right or property appraiser right, or there's problems with fraudulent association liens and fraudulent mortgages, they're up 51% in Palm Beach in the state as a whole. That's costing our judiciary, that's costing our budget money that is allocated, and all foreclosures are judicial. They're supposed to be following statutory, regulatory law. It is not up for debate. So why is 51% costing us 51% of our budget? When the laws are not being followed, and if they were, we could save a ton of money. just on the judiciary cost alone of people who are elderly, who don't have access to legal services or other services or even information to protect their rights. And when they recede from that as a whole, it's costing us money.
Thank you.
And there's no way to even compensate for it.
Thank you.
I'll call the next four names then. James.
I'm here. I was waiting for the people.
Oh,
Please,
The
come
order doesn't
stand,
matter.
take
Please
both
come up.
microphones.
You named 3 people. I was number 3. So number 2 was supposed to come up.
That's okay. Ms. Larson, you're there
That's
now.
all. I don't want to jump on anybody, their time. I was really concerned what I'm hearing with this budget. I really am. Because now we've got real safety issues. And for the first time in my life, and I've been coming here probably, 25 years, and now people are concerned about their safety. I'm curious, what changed? What has changed? Has anything changed? Is there something that's underlying that the press isn't stepping upon or coming upon? Because Senator Powell sees shortages in safety. So hopefully that'll be, maybe you do a workshop on safety. Okay? But no, because it's just an oddest thing I've ever seen. I've been here a lot, and I retain a lot. And the one thing I didn't ever hear was any commissioners or people were worried about safety here, ever. So that's sidebar, just in the budget, And infrastructure, we do need infrastructure, but pretty new buildings are not what we need. But anyway, I came down because hopefully with the parks, we'll start getting some more parks. We're going to be dealing with one today. I hope we get it. Because when we did a work, at our agenda meeting, knowing that we are 2,500 miles here in Palm Beach County, we're bigger than Rhode Island and Delaware, and in all that land, we only have 8,190 acres of parks. That's minuscule. Really tiny, and I hope we get more green space, because I am very concerned. We go outside the boundaries. We try to do the best thing possible. The board does. I see it happen. Ag reserve, ag preserve, healthcare district. But for some reason, we go off the rails, and we don't always accomplish exactly what we were trying to do. So hopefully, we'll get on the rails. Because I don't want to see another failed project, because the reason I walked in the door in 2003 was Scripps, and it was an abject failure. A lot of money, and it would have saved a lot of money if we didn't do it. So here we are. Maybe just have some community forums or something, go out into your different districts and ask the people what they want. Ask them. I've said that before. Send out cards, anything. Ask them what they want, because that's how we did the comp plan. And maybe it's old-fashioned and old school, but maybe you'll get some really great answers. Like I said, those 7th graders. Because I see abject failure in some arenas. Thank you.
Yeah, after listening to some of the issues that I'm hearing, it kind of sounds petty for why I'm here. But I guarantee you, to me and my neighbors.
Your name, please, sir?
Andrew Rosek. Sorry, I didn't know the protocol here. But my issue is the excessive PBSO helicopter use. And the neighbors that are south of the airport hear it constantly. It's 15, and I guarantee I've written down every time it flies over my neighborhood, because they do big Venn diagram-like circles, and they all seem to meet over my house. It's 15 to 20 hours. And I guarantee you guys probably think of next, but if one particular Friday night, a couple weeks ago, in 41 minutes, they flew over my house 37 times. And we're outside trying to have a nice evening, enjoy this nice weather, and I called the sheriff's department, and I complain, and I've done the formal complaints, and it seems, it's about Trump, Mr. Trump. And I can understand when he's on the road going to and from Mar-a-Lago and the airport and to his golf course, which is across the street from my neighborhood. I understand that. But this is 15 to 20 hours a day. And it's just excessive. It's like a war zone. And when he went to Washington for inauguration in the following couple weeks, it was so quiet. It was so different. It was like, oh my God, I mean, for 2 months I've been recording. I mean, certain days, 27, 30 times, and then that one anomaly of the Friday night, 37 times in 41 minutes. I called the sheriff's department and they gave me this really ridiculous reason why they were there. No police action on the ground, but it's just, the cost is extremely too. It's taxpayers' money. Sheriff's helicopter can cost anywhere from $580 to $1,000 an hour. So if you calculate that up, which I did, it's, $200,000. And I know you guys don't have power and control of what the sheriff's does, but maybe you have some influence. And just tell them, fly somewhere else. I mean, because if it is for the Secret Service, they're not near Mar-a-Lago. They're at Soho, and they're around my neighborhood. What are they expecting to see? I don't understand it. And one other thing. I emailed you all, every one of you, the mayor, every chief of staff, and I only got one response, and it was from Mr. Weiss's office, one chief of staff, and I'm not even in his district. And I just thought it was a shame. Even if you thought you couldn't help me, you could have responded by saying, sorry, we can't help you.
Good afternoon. So my name is John DeMello, and I'm parochial vicar at St. Patrick's Church in Palm Beach Gardens. I serve as the co-president of Peace alongside Jill Hansen. So Peace stands for People Engaged in Active Community Efforts. We are an interreligious organization made of 25 different faith-based congregations, and we take up issues of fairness in Palm Beach County. So we are here today to speak about the affordable housing crisis in Palm Beach County, specifically for renters. And this is not new. This crisis has been going year after year after year, and it is pushing families to the brink. Every day, we interact with people who are directly impacted by this. Home health aides, nursing assistants, preschool teachers, cashiers, waitresses, housekeepers, landscapers. These are people who contribute so much to our lives and our economy, and they are barely making ends meet. Now, I want each of us to put ourselves in the shoes of a home health aide, someone that's so important to us. You work 40 hours a week, and you make $13 an hour. So your take-home pay is $2,253 a month. Now, when you consider average rent, average cost of food, utilities, and transportation for one adult, there is simply no way for this person to make ends meet. So while a home health aide takes home $2,253 monthly, her expenses are $2,992. That's not including emergencies, health care, or child care. So this person simply cannot afford to live here. Either she takes up multiple jobs, doubling or tripling in an apartment, totally skipping her medicines, or going to a food bank. So this is reality for 95,000 households in Palm Beach County who cannot afford rent. So we at Peace believe that every person is created in the image of God and should be treated with dignity and respect. Both the United Nations and the U.S. Conference of Bishops have declared adequate housing is a human right. That's why Peace has taken on this topic of affordable rental housing for people making less than 60% of the area median income. That's why Peace is going to address this topic at our 2025 Nehemiah Action, and we hope action from you as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
You, we have,
Copy, please.
we have James Pettit, Jean Marie Nacer, Franklin Eddy, I think, I'm sorry, and Linda Smith. I apologize for the name.
Good afternoon. I'm Jim Pettit. I'm on the steering committee for affordable housing for Peace, which Father just spoke about. I live in District 2. I go to church in St. Patrick's, Palm Beach Gardens. It's District 1. So I watched the videotape of the January 28th hearing and workshop that you folks had, and I don't have to tell you, obviously, housing crisis is it's not going away anytime soon. We wanted to talk for a minute about existing programs. So we've been following the Live Local Act, and there was a study by the Florida Policy Institute, November 4th, 2024, that said that 96.3% of the rental units built since 2023 were directed at 120% AMI. So the Live Local Act isn't even working for workforce housing, and certainly not for affordable housing. We heard your staff tell you on the 28th that the bond, I think, has 12 projects, and some of them are stalled out. We looked at home ownership. I know that several of the commissioners have addressed that issue, and they're obviously we're not opposed to that. We are supporting a population at 60%, which is $62,400 a year for a household of 4, and they need roofs over their heads now. And if they can get into the lower end of the home ownership, that's great, but at $615,000 for median income, we are really looking at rental housing for Peace. Workforce housing, we applaud the board's having workforce housing program. We talked to Mike Howe a couple weeks ago in zoning and building planning. He told us that that program has produced 3,500 units since 2006. That's great. Again, workforce housing, not affordable housing. As Father said, the people, when I got the mail for the bond from the Housing Leadership Council 2 years ago, there was pictures of nurses and police and firefighters. The 60% and below, they're not nurses, they're nurses' aides, and they're not cops, they're security guards, and they're not teachers, they're teacher aides. So they're doing as much for this economy as the so-called workforce housing. I wanted to comment quickly about, I'm not going to be able to do this. Okay, so what is our proposal? Very quickly, and we have this to hand up to you and to put into the record, but our proposal is different because we want to use the workforce housing program, but make it a requirement for affordable housing. That's what they do in Broward County. Number 2, 60% and less for AMI, which is obviously different than workforce housing. Number 3, we found out from Mr. Howe that in lieu fees don't go to affordable housing, which stunned me. It goes to homeownership assistance, which again, not a bad thing. We think it should go for affordable housing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Commissioners, Mayor. I'm here today. Some of you know me. I'm a resident of Palm Beach County, but I bet you didn't know that I'm also your patient. And how is that so? It sounds ridiculous, right? But you are treating...
I'm sorry, your name, please.
Jean Marie Nacer. I am your patient because you are treating our water with fluoride, which is a treatment for prevention of dental caries. Now, interestingly enough, this is Palm Beach County water. Many of you on the dais there may not have your water treated where you live. The town of Jupiter, Palm Beach Gardens, Lake Park, North Palm Beach, Juno Beach, Lake Worth Beach, Riviera Beach, Boca Raton are all no longer putting fluoride in their water, and Delray Beach is taking up the matter tonight on their agenda. Why is this important? Well, the research has changed. There is a major decision that came from a federal judge in a U.S. court in September. This was before Dr. Latipo's Surgeon General advice that water fluoridation poses an unreasonable risk of reduced IQ in children. This is from the judge who made the ruling. EPA's own expert agrees that fluoride is hazardous at some level. Scientists have observed a statistically significant association between fluoride and adverse effects in children, even such lower exposure levels, Chen wrote. That's the judge. He said that despite recognizing that fluoride is hazardous, the EPA's defense rested largely on the fact that the exact level at which it is hazardous is too unclear for the agency to determine whether the chemical presents an unreasonable risk. This is directly a health practitioner's fact sheet on fluoride from a government agency, the NIH, that says criteria for adequate high or low levels of fluoride in the body have not been established. So you're medicating the population in mass without assessing our personal individual risk. And this is directly against the advice of my own dentist, who on his website, he's been practicing in the 80s in the state of Florida, says that fluoride is toxic and he does not use it. So you are medicating, treating me against my own wishes, against the wishes of my personal dentist with risks, okay? This is directly from a systematic review that because people receive fluoride from multiple sources, not just drinking water, individuals living in areas with optimally fluoridated water can have total fluoride exposures higher than the concentration of the drinking water. Okay, so there's a risk, and where there's risk, there must be choice. This body needs to take this up because it is a decision of the board, and I hope that we can continue this conversation. I hope that you will follow our Surgeon General's advice. I plan to be available to meet with you to go over plenty of the studies on this, but it is negligent if you do not look into this. There's over 40 counties in the state and municipalities who have taken the fluoride out of the water. So please do your due diligence.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next card?
Can I enter some papers for the record?
If you would, hand them.
Okay, thank you.
Franklin Eddy and Linda Smith.
Hello. My name is Frank Eddy. I'm a blues and jazz musician. I've been here in this county 45 years. I played everywhere. I played in Mar-a-Lago. I played Fourth Line Flagler. I played Jazz Fest, everywhere. I've been through 5 mayors, and Mr. Ross knows me. The best mayor we ever had was Joel. Rest his soul. I remember one time the code enforcement was saying, Mr. Eddy, you're parking on the grass, you need to pave it. I came up to Joel, I said, they're bothering me. He looked out the window and he said, see those bricks over there? Tell those construction guys Frank Eddy's gonna pick up all them bricks. And he gave me all them bricks right next to the thing. And I like Mr. Ross because when you call, he answers the phone. And I have double poles right on my street. FP&L has to move everything over, slam them giant poles onto the property. They broke the sidewalk, Pike, FP&L, Wilco. I called Mr. Ross, I said, I've had enough. Mr. Ross called Wilco. The next night, at night, they were taking the double poles out of my property. Everybody else has still got double poles except me. They poured me a new driveway, and they left it really nice because of this commissioner. You're running for mayor. You know I got your back. And you know I'll play for any gig, you got, okay? You're the only one that answers for, look, this, the commissioners in the mayor's office, that little girl is running against you, isn't she? Lambert or something her name is? She ain't got no chance. Come on. And I go, and I've been in that commission meeting over 40 years. Nothing gets done a lot of times. I've been through with Frankel and you name it. I've been through all of them. Used to go in the old building and walk upstairs, walk right into her office and tell her everything. You can't do that no more. You got tons of security all over the place. But anyway, this county has changed, and all the homeless problems and everything. These guys are dealing with it. You guys are dealing with it, the best way you can. They're coming from all over. It's just not, they come from New York, LA, they're down my street, right down my street. And I'm calling this Trump Avenue because I got every video. After he almost got it down near there, he comes down Parker, makes that comes right past my house. When I look out my window, Secret Service here, Palm Beach over here. I've been dealing with this for 45 years, the airport noise and everything, and I'm going to that meeting on the 13th. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Linda Smith, Jupiter, Florida, Sierra Club Executive Committee Chair. Hi again, and thank you for allowing the public to speak. I think you guys sort of have to be here, but I guess I was going to tell you why am I here. So my dad had a story of hope. Maybe you've heard it. A mighty king had a rival. The rival hadn't really done anything wrong, he just had a different opinion. The king became enraged with the rival and ordered him to be put to death. The rival knew the king had a favorite horse. The rival pleaded, "O mighty king, if you will spare my life for 1 year, I will teach your horse to talk." The king was intrigued and agreed. When the rival was asked, "Why would you agree to such an outrageous deal?" the rival replied, "A year is a long time. A lot can change. I might die, the king might die." And with a twinkle in his eye, he said, "The horse might talk." So, continuing my discussion about how bad incinerators are for Palm Beach County, yes, Sierra Club supports trucking our waste hundreds of miles to a landfill out of the county if need be, instead of the new $1.6 billion incinerator. While we all work to reduce our waste, we have to do that first also. This is so much cheaper and environmentally and financially that in 2022, the chief staff of the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency blasted Florida's incineration bills as a step backwards, undermining the state's recycling goals. Miami has just recently canceled their incinerator plans just south of us. Zero waste. Gainesville and Achaluchee, I gotta practice that. Counties are doing it. I have the ordinances, I have some backup stuff, just let me know if you need it. I have been in touch with Mr. Pelritz, might have mispronounced that too, and he is gonna be sending me some additional information, and I look forward to that. I believe the plan is zero waste, zero landfill. If you achieve zero waste, the second will take care of itself. And following up on some random commissioner topics, Sierra Club supports Milani Park. We support preserving our state parks. We support preserving our preserves and our county parks and putting them into the Land Conservation Trust. We support preserving the agricultural reserve and any privately held preserves. We also think Moroso should come back as a racetrack. And we also support workforce and affordable housing where there's mass transit and existing services and infrastructure, not in the middle of nowhere farmland. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. And that is our last card on public comment on matters by the public. So we will now, if you all would like to hear the rest of our meeting, you're welcome to stay. We will now, Ms. Larson, please. Please. Commissioner Sachs.
Thank you so much, Mayor and Vice Mayor. Would the members of Peace just stay for a few minutes, maybe 2 minutes, not more than that. I want to thank you for all you do. You have been a force in this community, and we continue to hear your voices. When you talk about affordable housing, just when you talk about housing, every person in this community should have the dignity of a house. You make it a home, but it's the county government who can help to make it at least to give you the house. That's our responsibility, and I want to thank you so much for continuing to advocate for housing for all. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
You're welcome. Okay. We've lost a couple of our commissioners, so. Okay. We need help. Okay, we've got 6 of our 7 commissioners. I'm sure Vice Mayor will be back promptly. We will now turn to regular item 5D1. We are out of recess. We are resuming our regularly scheduled Board of County Commissioners meeting. And we were asked to bring back up 5D1. This will be staff's recommends motion to receive and file.
May I proceed?
Please.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Commissioners. Isami Ajala, Director of Facilities Development and Operations and Assistant County Administrator. With me today is Tammy Fields, Assistant County Administrator, Jennifer Cirillo, Director of the county's Parks and Recreation Department, Howard Falcon, Chief Assistant County Attorney, and Darren Leeser, Assistant County Attorney. As this board recalls, during the January 28, 2025 workshop meeting, staff was given direction to return at the next regular board meeting with an overview of the current status of the CAMD Milani Park project. This item, therefore, seeks to fulfill board direction. The CAMD Milani Park project has been in the making for over 35 years. The approximately 5 acres of oceanfront property is located at 4705 South Ocean Boulevard, Highland Beach. 2 parcels comprise the county-owned property east and west of A1A. The county acquired the property from Mrs. Lucia Milani to build a park on the condition that the same be named after her late husband, CAMD Milani. On May 12, 1987, the board approved 2 purchase and sale agreements for the acquisition of the oceanfront property to develop the public access beach park. The acquisition, which totaled $3.9 million, was funded from the county's Park and Recreation Department's Capital Improvement Program and from the State Sunshine Governmental Financial Commission, which is also referred to as the Sunshine Pool. The proposal for a public access park was met with strong opposition from the town and has been the subject of legal actions in 3 instances over the past several decades. On May 18, 2010, the county and the town entered into a stipulated settlement agreement and addendum, leading to the dismissal of the then current legal action between the town and the county, whereby the legality of some of the conditions of the development order issued by the town were being challenged. Under the stipulated settlement agreement, the county is required to construct the park in compliance with the development order approved by the town, which in turn includes 43 conditions of approval. Through the stipulated settlement agreement, the county and the town agreed that the development of the park will be postponed for a period of 10 years, with the county having, at its sole discretion, the right to extend that postponement for 2 additional periods of 5 years each, for a maximum total postponement of up to 20 years. On October 22, 2019, the county notified the town that it was exercising its first 5-year option to postpone. On July 27, 2023, the county notified the town that it was initiating the design and permitting for the county park and that it will contact the town in the near future for further coordination. On April 17, 2024, the county notified the town of its intent to resume development of the park. And then on May 7, 2024, during a regular meeting of the Board of County Commissioners and following an extensive discussion as a result of comments made by the public, county staff was directed to proceed without further delay towards development on the project in accordance with the stipulated settlement agreement. On September 26, 2024, the board approved a contract with Brooks and Scarpa Architects, Inc. for the provision of professional design services, including permitting and construction administration services for the project. Condition number 10 of the stipulated settlement agreement requires the county to apply for National Register of Historical Places designation within 1 year of the notice of intent to resume development. On July 25, 2024, the county submitted the application publication to the National Register, nominating approximately 2.3 acres on the southern portion of the Highland Beach site. On November 15, 2024, the Florida Department of State, Division of Historical Resources, issued a determination confirming that the archaeological site under the stipulated settlement agreement is in fact eligible for listing in the register. So, where do we stand today? The project is in active design. The same is proceeding under the conditions outlined in the stipulated settlement agreement. The stipulated settlement agreement requires the county to conduct a study that is called a Cultural Resources Assessment Survey, which must be included in the final design documents to be submitted to the town, and which shall serve, amongst other matters, to inform the design effort for the park. Therefore, the county retained Archaeological and Historical Conservancy, Inc. to provide the archaeological services required under the stipulated settlement agreement, and that archaeologist is collaborating with the design team. Funding for the project right now, in the total amount of $8.6 million, is allocated under Parks and Recreation Department's budget through the use of impact fees. The scope of the design is usually at the core of all the conversations related to the KMD Milani Park. From the county's perspective, we are required to abide by the stipulated settlement agreement, which includes a development order with 43 conditions of approval, which in turn includes an approved site plan as shown on this slide. In simple terms, the approved site plan requires 100 parking spaces on the west parcel for beach access park amenities, those typical being trails and lifeguard tower and the like, on the east parcel. With that said, what is our development timeline? Under the stipulated settlement agreement, the county has 2 years from the notice of intent to resume development to deliver to the town all design documents and supporting studies. This is what is referred to as the compliance package under the stipulated settlement agreement. As previously stated, said notice was sent to the town in April of 2024. Therefore, it is the midpoint of that term is fast approaching for staff to be able to complete design. Staff has previously shared with this board that if we fail to meet those conditions of the development order, it may carry fatal consequences, and it may help invalidate that development order, which in turn will eliminate the county's ability to be able to deliver on this project. And the latter is of great relevance because completing construction of the KMD Milani Park is a matter of pursuing county-wide level of service as it relates to beach access. Allow me to transition to Jennifer, who, without doubts, is better positioned to explain the programmatic relevance that this project carries.
Thank you, Isami. Commissioners, good afternoon. Our county parks are to serve all countyans. The red oval on this next slide, you will see, and this, just for the viewers' benefit, it's north on the left-hand side to south on the right-hand side. So this is our entire coastline in our county, and these are all the beach access points available to the public. The orange shading you will see, those are county-owned parcels, county-owned properties. The green shading, those are municipal. And then the dark blue that's in number 2 there, that's our state park. That's MacArthur Beach State Park there as well. So you will see there's a heavy concentration in North County, and we'll get into a little bit why that is, largely because when properties were being acquired, that's where it was available to acquire. So that red oval all the way to the right shows that this is actually a gap where we're talking about and where KMD Milani Park is located between municipal beaches, many of which charge county residents more to park and access the beach. In fact, 4 of the Boca municipal beaches and Park District beaches, 3 of them a county resident cannot even get an annual pass. It's not reasonable. You can't purchase it. They won't allow it. So look above the red oval at the next property highlighted in orange. That's our next closest county park beach access. It's a current 12-mile gap of our coastline between South Inlet Park, which is a county beach park, and Gulfstream Park, which is a county beach park. So 12 miles with no county managed public access. The location of KMD Milani Park property not only makes it important to our level of service from a comp plan acreage perspective, but maybe more importantly, a proximity standpoint. It is in a county park desert and will serve everyone west of this location, all countyans. Due to the timing of South County development and our ability to acquire property at the time, we have very few beach properties for countyans in South County. I cannot stress enough the importance of this particular property, this public beach access with parking at this location in alignment with our parks master plan. And although Cam D. Milani Park is not the only beach property in the county identified in 1985 and 86 to purchase in South County, it was one of the few that our predecessors did successfully acquire. It originally, and I know Commissioner Flores, you previously had a meeting mentioned needing clarity on 180 spaces. And the reason 180 comes up is because when they initially, in 1985, looked at these beach properties, the person assessing it felt that 180 spaces could fit on this property. So the settlement agreement of 100 spaces, which is currently being designed, is actually a compromise off that 180. Our county beach parks serve all people equally to access the beach, and as outlined in our Parks and Recreation Master Plan, we must keep pace with our population to provide recreation opportunities and beach access. Through our best management practices, we continually balance public use with the environment and ecology and archaeology protection in our parks, and we talked a little bit about why this particular property is very special, including the Yamato Rock that allows for snorkeling on its shoreline, and we manage snorkeling beaches a little bit differently, and we have several other beaches with rock and snorkeling opportunities available to the public. Public spaces like this are important for our county residents' public health, but also the love of their community, their public beach, and their environment, because we know when people experience the environment, they're more apt to take care of it. Also outlined in our master plan needs assessment, beaches are both the #1 used and the #1 amenity the public says they need more of. So this concludes our staff presentation, and both Isami and I, we would be happy to take any questions as the board deems appropriate at this time.
Well, I don't see any lights on. Do we have any comment cards?
Yes, we have 2 cards, Alexandria Larson and Ron Rayami.
My commissioners, I laugh a lot. I wish I could call you. If you would give me your cell phone numbers, I'll text you with all the jokes I send to the other county employees and stuff. It's pretty fun. But this one, 1987, and then lawyers and towns. I would not see, I mean, there's a picture in your backup, I don't know where, it shows the land, the green space and what it looks like. Do you have that in the backup still? It was in the backup last night. But this is a crime. Are we going to build this park? Are we going to put it off again? We're going to put it off again? No, we're going to build it? Because you heard me talk about the 8,190 acres of park is all we got that the county owns. Those are not my numbers, that's the county's numbers, so. But public access, public everything. Why does it need 100 parking places? I think that's probably one of the things that was put in the detente, was the 100 parking places in their world, maybe. I mean, I don't know if that's the absolute end-all, be-all with a park. Do you have to have 100 parking spaces? Because I didn't go out and count the parking spaces. I don't know what you got in your parks. Parking isn't my problem. I drive a truck. I'll just drive on the sand. But I really do. We need this park. We needed it in 1987. You need public access. You know, you really do. And it's getting less and less because now with our visitors, you know, it's even less and less on how we get on the beach. It really is. It really is. They have problems in Riviera Beach. I can't tell you, commissioners, I'm going to start forwarding all the phone calls to y'all. I'm going to get your number somehow, and I'm going to forward them. I'll just say, no, talk to your commissioner in your district, because we deserve parks, we deserve green space, and we deserve a really nice life. We don't need to be scolded. I've been coming here a long time, Commissioner. You do not have to yell my name out for that dais unless you start yelling at everybody else in this audience, okay? Please, I'm a fair-minded woman. I'll spread the yell, you know what I mean? Because I never yell at anybody. But I hope you do. I hope, are the plans there? We're going to build this park. Promise? I hate to do this to you, but I've been around for this one. So, like I said, like the healthcare district, this is 87, healthcare district's 88. These are things that I really, really do watch, commissioners. I promise. But I will. As long as you tell me you're going to build it, I'm going to cross my fingers and my toes, and I'll think really good thoughts tonight for all of you. How about that? No. I want you to remember something. Don't say you're going to do it later, commissioners. Always just do it. If you hear my voice, do it, because you can't do it later. Later doesn't come. Do that.
Sir.
My name is, excuse me, thank you. My name is Ron Riami. I'm from Highland Beach, and specifically from Boca Highland, which I represent the 558 residents that occupy the land and buildings and so forth that is just south of the proposed Milani Park. We certainly know that the park has been approved and is obviously underway, but we would like to propose that the Milani family, the new commission with new commissioners, and Highland Beach meet to discuss the park and what could be. Obviously, the land that we had appraised, the Milani land, is worth $45 million. You're going to spend, if you don't sell it, in which you could sell it to first right of refusal, the Milani family, which I know would be interested in purchasing the land back. And you're obviously going to spend a lot of money to develop the park, which we don't think should be a park. Obviously, the county needs parks, but this particular piece of land, which is 400 feet on the beach with the Amato Rock, is not exactly a great space for the public to be. We believe that that money could be used elsewhere in Palm Beach County. We certainly want to cooperate if the park is going to go through, but I don't want you to misconstrue our cooperation, which we certainly will provide, but that does not mean that we desire the park. For some reason, there's been a rumor going around that Highland Beach thinks that this is actually a great park now. We don't. So I can tell you that the 558 people that I represent and Highland Beach in general are not in favor of this park. And we think there's many other places that Palm Beach County could do something with respect to a park, and you could use this money elsewhere. Thank you.
Okay, we have no more comment cards. Commissioner Flores, your light is on.
So my questions are for staff regarding the northwest side. Is that the archaeological site, the graded area?
No, that's actually a wetland that was cut off by other development. So that in the plan would remain a wetland. That's part of the actually 43 conditions of approval, that may remain a wetland and not have parking.
So what is that, just going to be a green space?
Green space, yeah, native vegetation, wildlife, yep.
Okay, and people are going to be able to wander in there?
As any of our parks, yeah. It'll be publicly accessible.
Okay. So it'll be safe?
Yeah.
Okay. And then...
You might get your feet wet if it's wet. It's a wetland.
And
it doesn't really function, though. It doesn't get like super wet in there unless there's a storm event. So stormwater retention, I know that's important to the community too. We've heard that, and our designers actually taking that into consideration so that it can still hold water in a storm event.
So where is the archaeological site in...
It's
what does that
actually
imply for registration? So how do we...
Yeah, so eastern parcel. So the eastern parcel and the design will be very delicate. On the east...
Can you guys bring up the site plan so we can...
Yeah, if you flip back to it. So the eastern parcel, actually the southern part of the eastern parcel is the most archaeologically sensitive. So you'll see in this, that was again just a concept approved site plan. it avoids that area completely with this. Even the boardwalk doesn't go through the southern part of the eastern parcel. There actually is disturbance on the eastern side. There was a single-family home with there's a remnants of a swimming pool on the eastern parcel on the northern side. So that's where that lifeguard / public restroom building for beachgoers, reutilizing hopefully that same disturbed footprint would be the concept, so that you're not disturbing any of the other archaeology in the park. But the most significant archaeology has been found on the eastern side towards the southern portion of the property.
And can beachgoers destroy or do any damage there, or?
No, and you'll see, I mean, there are actually public parks preserve archaeology in a lot of ways. So we have other public parks in Palm Beach County, county parks, where we've preserved human remains. And you can do that in a number of ways. One of those ways in one of our District 1 parks is to put several feet of fill on top of it, which preserves everything below it. And then it looks like a green space to the public. They don't realize that that's actually protecting and preserving those people's burial sites and honoring that. In this case, we anticipate an elevated boardwalk to touch the ground as infrequently as possible, to again try to disturb the land as infrequently as possible. But then the native vegetation and preserving that property for wildlife to enjoy, while also allowing the public, hopefully, to have some opportunity to see that wildlife as they traverse, to get the beach access. That's really the goal, to keep it as passive as possible, and to disturb the land. You know, there's even some boardwalks where you don't even have to dig a hole. They ride on top, and that's how they're engineered. So we're gonna see through the design principles what they come up with and what the opportunities are, but they have been working closely with the archaeology that's under contract with FDO.
And I think that is a point worth highlighting. These are not disconnected efforts. The design team and the archaeologists are both under contract with the county, and both of them are working together. So they're not separate efforts. It is not something that we stumble upon. We knew going in. It was the reality of the park. It's part of the conditions of approval. And that design that is being developed right now, it is respective of and takes into consideration the archaeological reality of the site.
My other question was regarding wheelchair accessibility for people to actually get in the water. Are we including anything like that in this park?
Yes, absolutely. So in our master plan, access is one of those things we talked about. So we not only expect the boardwalk to be accessible, but when we get down to the beach, one of my annual goals, you talked about department annual goals, is access. And so looking at more beach mats, I put that out for my park foundation to help me fund more. Moby Mats is a brand name, so throwing that out that there are other brands of that, but you know, those kind of blue beach mats that you see. So once the boardwalk ends, you can take those, and we actually have beach wheelchairs that were donated to our department that go in the water. You don't even have to sit on the sand. They actually can go in the water. Phil Foster, you can go and you can snorkel the snorkel trail in a wheelchair and a viewing bucket. I mean, so access is extremely important, and this park will be no different. In fact, our goal this year is to increase accessibility of our beach parks. Is critically important. I've been to parks, I'm sure you all have too, where you've seen a parent in a wheelchair that couldn't push a child in a playground that was in the sand. Sand is not access friendly typically, so we're trying to do everything we can to make it more accessible, because our needs assessment, again, number one need people say they want more of is beach access. That's, you know, in large part, not everybody loves the beach in our county, let's be honest, but that is what people want. They want access. That's why they live here. That's why they love here, is access to our water bodies, beaches, lakes, and we want to do more of it. So yes, we fully anticipate not only the boardwalk, but once that's installed. Now we need to work with our turtle monitor, so there's certain times a year when that access has to be modified or taken up daily so that the turtles can nest at night, and we identify where the nests are, but we work really closely with them to do it on the beaches where we have those access mats.
Yeah, I think that's very important that we have inclusivity for this park, so that people in wheelchairs can actually get to the water, because I go to the parks, I don't see anything, and it's extremely tough when I see people trying to push wheelchairs.
Yeah.
2, 3, 4 people trying to get somebody out there. That's
Yeah, right now we have 14 beach parks. I believe 4 of them have access mats, so we need to improve, and we're going to.
okay. Good. I'm glad that we're including that in there. And then for the crossing, I'm not really familiar with this road. I'm assuming it's where those people bike.
Yes.
So it's slower traffic, is that? And we're taking into account flashing lights and all that good stuff?
All that is under design in consultation as well with DOT and other agencies. So the design has not been finalized, but traffic concerns, pedestrian safety were all key components of the matters that the design team is working with right now. We're approaching the phase where we have the first level design development options to choose on how the park will look, what will be the conceptual design to follow. At that point, we start filling in the blanks as to where pedestrian access will be, where the crossings will be, what will be done on the road to modify and ensure that no speeding issues occur. And I believe that's where you were heading, Commissioner?
No, I just want to make sure that our people are, when they cross, they're safe.
That is included in the scope and is part of the design effort that will be finalized once the concept is moved forward. And we're right now embedded in that process.
And most of our beach parks, the parking is actually on the west side of A1A, and pedestrians do have to cross to access the beach. That's not uncommon. There's a few exceptions. Carlin Park is very large and is an exception, but most of the parking in our county beach parks is on the west side of A1A, so pedestrian crossings is very important. Yeah.
Well, I'm very happy. I wish that it was more parking. I have been to parks, or to the beach parks, and I've had to sit there and wait and go around and hope and pray that somebody comes out. And it's it's no fun, especially when you have 3 kids in the back that want to get out. And I am not a big fan of going to the beach at 6:30 in the morning just to grab a parking spot. So that's why I keep saying I wish that we would have never gone down to the 100 spots, but it's an agreement that we made, and we have to live by that. But, this is exciting, and inclusivity for those in wheelchairs is important to me. So thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. With regard to the park, there are 43 conditions that need to be met. Has there been an assessment of all the conditions? I know I saw you in the backup that at least one of the conditions was a requirement that a fence go across the back, but that won't be allowed due to, I guess, Army Corps or there's a reason because of the turtles and things like that. What's the assessment of all 43 conditions? Will they be able to be met or modified? And will that prevent anything from happening? I know the condition number 10 with regard to the National Register of Historic Places, it's been recorded, correct?
It's been met.
It's been met.
Yes.
So on the analysis of the status of conditions.
So the 43 conditions have different deadlines for implementation, the vast majority of them tied to the compliance package we mentioned before. As conditions have been met through the years, notification has been provided as necessary to the town as the conditions haven't been met, right? So the condition you mentioned before regarding the fence is one, and along with the signage is one that was met many, many years ago. Recent conditions met, condition number 10, which is the one you referenced in regards to the National Register. We issued a notification to the city, to the town last year, letting them know that we had attained the requirement from the state, notifying us that it was eligible for designation. We're working on that set of conditions again with the goal of meeting every single one of them because we don't have an option not to. It's a requirement of the development order. So that's basically the guiding light as it relates to project development.
Thank you. Follow up. This is a conceptual site plan, correct? And not this is it in concept. So I know Commissioner Flores indicated about the 100 parking spaces, but the architectural firm Brooks and Scarpa, did I say that right?
Yes.
There's a potential that they could look at this plan and be able to revise it, potentially, to add additional parking spaces if that were. No, they can't?
No.
No.
Okay. Okay, that's what I wanted to know.
It's in the stipulated settlement agreement, so we have to kind of play within that sandbox, if you will, of the stipulated settlement agreement. But then beyond that, could make some things to make it look nicer or have more accessibility or things that aren't requirements of the park.
Okay, that's it.
Thank you. I have no more lights on, so at this time, may I get someone to make a motion to receive and file?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion from Commissioner Weiss, a second from Commissioner Woodward, and Vice Mayor Baxter at the same time. All those in favor?
Commissioner Woodward.
Anybody opposed? See that the motion carries 7-0. And we look forward to this park coming out of the ground. Okay, at this time, we will go to the next portion of our agenda, which is board appointments. Commissioner Powell, any board appointments?
Not at this time, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
Stay
Commissioner
tuned.
Weiss?
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to appoint, or I will appoint, Rafael Clemente to the Planning Commission.
Thank you. Commissioner Woodward?
None at this time.
Commissioner Sachs, any appointments?
No, not
Commissioner Flores?
Yes, I'd like to appoint Susie Diaz to the BDB, Dr. Mandel Bloom to the Emergency Medical Services Advisory Council, Marisela Torres to the Palm Beach County Sports Commission, Brett Schneider to the Personnel Appeals Board, Rosie Matos to the Planning Commission, Ronnie Malave to the Educational Facilities Authorities, Imran Siddiqui to the Fire Rescue Advisory Board, John McGovern to the Library Advisory Board, and Mabel Melton to the Tourist Development Council. That's it.
And you will give that to the clerk so he can have that? Thank you very much. Vice Mayor Baxter, any appointments?
None at this time, Madam Mayor.
Okay. Now we will move on to staff comments. Administration.
I only have the board directives, and we are in, a number of them have not been closed out, but everything dealing with the convention center, we brought back to the board that will be closed out on the convention center in utilization. We will also be bringing back a term sheet to the board at the February 11th board meeting. And then the others, we're continuing to work on and finalize those particular projects. So I'd ask the board for to receive and file.
So moved.
Vice Mayor, Commissioner Woodward. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
See, that carries 7-0. County Attorney, anything? Okay. Commissioner comments. How about if I start with Commissioner Flores?
I really don't want to, I don't really have much comments. I just want to give everybody an update. Unfortunately, my basketball team is 0-4, but we've had some really close games. We have practice on Thursday. Hopefully we'll fix a few things and game on Friday. So, but no, thank you.
You're welcome. Commissioner Sachs.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I want to thank Virginia Baker. I've got the board directives, and it is a comprehensive list, and it is excellent, and this is exactly what I was looking for, so I've got it for bedtime reading. It's excellent. And and lastly, I'd like to just make sure that the record is clear with regard to homelessness and what our county is doing. And I say this also as an attorney and as a public servant. We have a county ordinance that has been on the books for many years, and it is ordinance section 18-2 that prohibits public camping overnight in private properties. That was then supplanted by We call it House Bill 1365. It's really a Florida statute that does basically the same thing. And it is good to read, and our county attorney, Denise Kaufman, did a very great job in explaining it to us. As county commissioners, it's important that we listen and read it and know it because it affects the obligation of the county as a legal entity government, as well as for our people. This was followed by a U.S. Supreme Court case, which I am opposed to, but it passed, a Supreme Court case, and it's entitled The City of Grants Pass, Oregon versus Johnson et al. It was decided on June 28th of 2024, which criminalizes the status of homelessness and upholds a local city ordinance that gives people notice to move, and if they don't, then they file a criminal trespass of 30 days mandatory jail. Our county has been excellent, and I see Tammy Fields in the back. I'd give you a hug if I could jump over this dais. But you did, Tammy, on August 14th, as response to all of these issues. On August 14th, 2024, you did a very comprehensive memo that was sent to all of us, and it basically explains what we as a county are doing to meet these challenges. And it also tells us about the Homeless and Housing Alliance Unsheltered Legislation Task Force report, coincidentally, of June 2024, which is at the same time that the U.S. Supreme Court case came out. So I congratulate our county staff who are working so hard to make sure that every person in this county, whether it is to get affordable workforce or just housing for someone who is unsheltered, that these needs are met. And I thank all the members of this alliance for putting it together. So just wanted to give a congratulations and a thank you and a shout out to those who are working so hard to make sure that Palm Beach County gives every person the dignity of having a roof over their head. And I think that's it for right now. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Commissioner Woodward.
Thank you. I just wanted to, I know Vice Mayor Baxter, you had brought up a discussion earlier about solar panels. And sorry, I got a little fuzzy on that. Is that something that is coming back to this board for discussion or ordinance change? Where was that left?
They were supposed to be bringing back more information to us in regards to implementing an ordinance that requires a bond if they wanted to do a solar field, so that bond would then guarantee, should they no longer use it as a solar field, they would have to return it to usable ag land.
Okay, I bring this up, I read an article, and I think it was somewhere in Florida, but I know that there was a number of places that were allowing solar panels to go over parking lots.
I love that, and shaded parking,
And you
right?
have shaded parking, and it's already an area that's, covered in asphalt, so, in order to, and I was curious, I don't know if we have an ordinance on that, or if we have anything. I just was wondering if I could piggyback on your ordinance for that to come back. Is that something that we would need to change or allow, or how could we implement some of that so it's not always maybe going into ag land, but we have a lot of asphalt parking lots, and could this be something we encourage?
First part, Vice Mayor is absolutely correct on the timing, the direction, and all that stuff. We're already working on it, so close that part. To your point, Commissioner, we can include that in the review. I know nothing that would preclude structure. Certainly traditional structures in parking are allowed. You see a lot of shaded ones. Adding solar panels on top, I know of nothing that precludes that, but we could add it to A, ensure that, B, look at it, helping make that happen.
Okay, thank you very much.
Pat, are we partners with somebody that could maybe come speak to why they would or wouldn't want to put solar panels in a parking lot?
We were already going to reach out to NextEra FPL on that piece because the efficiency factor and the square footage you have obviously speaks to the values that will be included as part of the research.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
As a matter of
Appreciate
fact,
piggybacking.
FP&L, they're building in gardens, they recapture everything. So they, not that they need to worry about their footprint, their FP&L, but they do actually return to the grid. And interestingly enough, in a plane, I don't remember when I was in a plane last, but what I saw were solar panels on a landfill. So I thought that was interesting. And I'm sure it was kind of like Dyer Park, a retired landfill. Commissioner Weiss, any comments?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Just a couple. One, I'd like to give staff direction to work out details in looking to honor Marty Perry, who was the first zoning attorney in Palm Beach County. He passed a couple months ago, and I know folks are wanting to honor his contributions. So I'd like to give staff direction to bring something back on that. And then secondarily, received a letter from the Economic Council in regards to our RFP concerns for our countywide transportation master plan. And the questions or the concerns related to clarity on technology and innovation being important parts of what this master plan is going to be. So looking at both existing, things, technologies and so forth that we can take advantage of, but also looking to the future and, possible other things such as, self-driving cars that we know are coming along and other things like that. So I wonder if you can provide some guidance on that this afternoon.
Commissioner, we did see that as well. I would tell you that the RFP, and it's available for anyone to see now, does contain references, and we'll be looking for in submittals and then subsequent presentations, people and what the consultants can tell us and what the consultants and the proposers are going to share with us. So we do reference technology a number of times. In a super explicit state, it might not be there in words that we read in other places, but it is absolutely covered, and we will be looking for it. The RFP is out on the street right now. We've had a couple of minor tweaks to it by way of addendum. These things happen along the way. I'll have a little more information for you at next Tuesday's meeting. We could talk a little more at length about it, but we've done a lot of outreach ourselves to firms, entities, trying to encourage everybody. The big thing would be, we want to see what the consultants are doing. We're not the experts in this. We want to know what they say. And I wouldn't want to hear from any one person. I'd love to look forward to hearing from it, seeing the presentations and what they have to offer. Those are the experts, the teams they put together, the information they bring. There could be cutting edge things that we don't even know about at the moment that experts would. That's what we want to hear.
Great. I'm glad to hear that, and just to share that I'll be definitely looking at it that lens with whatever comes forward and seeking approval of this board. So thank you.
Administrator Baker, is there anything you wanted to add?
No, I think Patrick covered it. We want to see what they bring us. We know that we're looking for technology. We've done a lot of homework on this issue. We went to presentations that the Economic Council was so gracious to invite us to participate, but we specifically put in references to technology, et cetera. So, terms change, and we didn't want to box ourselves in. Plus, we're looking for the experts to tell us what to do.
Thank you. Commissioner Powell.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to recognize, just a piggyback, to call back to the proclamation that we did earlier with regard to Black History Month. This, of course, is Black History Month, and just a reminder that a comprehensive understanding of knowledge and knowledge of history doesn't make a people bitter, it makes them better. And history is composed of more than just stories of inspiration, comprehensively. And Black history is American history. So enjoy this month, and if you know of any events going on, let me know and I'll join you, or if I've got something going on, I'll join you all, or I'll let you all know, and let's celebrate together. Thank you.
Vice Mayor Baxter.
I have no comments except to say thank you to everyone and have a great one.
Thank you. I actually have two comments. One, the Florida Association of Counties has notified us that there is a vacancy on the Board of Directors. That seat was formerly held by Commissioner Mac Bernard, now Senator Bernard. But with his and the board's approval, I would like to nominate Commissioner Powell to fill that District 30 seat.
So moved. Second and third and fourth.
If you would like to.
Absolutely. Thank you very kindly.
Okay. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? See that carries 7-0, and we will send a note to the Florida Association of Counties of that. Also, this past week, United Way of Palm Beach County's Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Program did a celebration, and they are, what's more important about that is that they are offering free income tax preparation throughout Palm Beach County to those with a household income, 2024 household income of $67,000 or less. And when we kicked it off, I was really wonderful at the library. All the people that were there ready to take advantage of this free service with the many volunteers that we have. So tax preparation is provided at several county VITA sites. No appointment is required. And for more information or to find a nearest location, visit www.taxesfiledfree.org or call 211. And we have so many partners that are working on this program, and thank you to all of them. Tammy, thank you for joining me that day. United Way, the library system, the school. It was a nice event, and it's wonderful that we can help people file their taxes. With that, I have no more comments. This meeting is adjourned at 3:23. Thank you. Want a hug? I like it.